Hello, I'm Stephen Leake. I'm an elder at First Presbyterian Church of Mesquite, Texas, and I'm also the teacher of the Discipleship Sunday School class there. Today we're continuing with our study of the Gospel of John, and I'd like to remind you that our curriculum is from the Daily Bible Study Series on the Gospel of John by William Barclay. And for a biblical text, we're using the New Revised Standard Version, which is the version of the Bible that we keep in our pews. Now, we've been studying the story of Jesus and his meeting with the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well for a couple of weeks now. And we're not going to finish it today. And that's primarily because it's my favorite story in the Gospel of John. And I just want to do it justice. In fact, you know how people write down their funeral instructions? Well, this is one of the pieces of scripture that I want read at my funeral. That's how important that I think it is. So, today we're going to continue with the story of the dialogue between Jesus and the woman at the well. And today we're going to take a little side story and delve deeper into what Jesus meant by what true worship was. And next week, we'll get back to the actual interaction between Jesus and the woman at the well. So today, our scripture is John 4:22 through 26. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming and is now here when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. The woman said to him, I know that Messiah is coming, who is called the Christ. When he comes, he will proclaim all things to us. Jesus said to her, I am he, the one who is speaking to you. Jesus had told the Samaritan woman that the old rivalries were on the way out, that the day was coming when controversy about the respective merits of Mount Gerizim and Mount Zion would be irrelevant, and that those who truly sought God would find him anywhere. But Jesus still stressed the fact that the Jewish nation had a unique place in God's plan and revelation. The Samaritans worshipped in ignorance, he said. In one sense, that was factually true. The Samaritans accepted only the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. They rejected all the rest of the Old Testament. They had therefore rejected all the great messages of the prophets and all the supreme devotion and wisdom of the Psalms. They had truncated religion because they had a truncated Bible. They had rejected knowledge that was open to them that they might have had. Further, the Jewish rabbis had always charged the Samaritans with a superstitious type of worship. They always said that the Samaritan worship was founded not on love and knowledge, but on ignorance and fear. As we have seen, when the foreign peoples were brought in to dwell in Samaria, they brought their own gods with them. In 2 Kings 17, verse 28, we're told that a priest from Bethel came and told them how they should fear the Lord, Yahweh. But in all probability, they probably just added Yahweh to their list of gods because they were superstitiously afraid to leave him out. There are 3 things about false worship. First, false worship is a selective worship. It chooses what it wishes to know about God and omits the rest. The Samaritans took as much scripture as they wished and paid no attention to the rest. One of the most dangerous things in the world is a one-sided religion. It's very easy to accept and hold the parts of God's truth that suit us and disregard the remainder. We've seen, for instance, how certain politicians and church leaders justified racial segregation by appeal to certain parts of Scripture, while they conveniently forgot the greater parts which forbid it. We would all do well to remember that, although no one will ever grasp truth in its entirety, it is total truth that we should aim at, not snatching at fragments which happen to suit ourselves and our own position. Second, false worship is ignorant worship. Each of us has a mind and a duty to exercise that mind. Religion may begin with an emotional response, but the time comes when that emotional response has to be thought out. A great part of religious failure is due to intellectual sloth, and to neglect to think things out is, in itself, a sin. In the last analysis, religion is not secure until we can tell not only what we believe, but why we believe it. Religion is hope, but it is hope with reason behind it. From 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15. Third, false worship is a superstitious worship. It is not given out of a sense of need nor out of any real desire. Basically, it's out of a feeling that it might be dangerous not to give it. Many people will refuse to walk beneath a ladder. Many people will have an uneasy feeling when they see a black cat. And many people will not pick up a penny if it's tails up. Now, I have to tell a story on myself this morning. I went to the doctor about 10 days ago, and I'm waiting for a test result that still has not come. And this morning when I went to the gym, the only treadmill available had a penny sitting right there on the dashboard. And guess what, folks? It was tails up, and it made me uneasy, especially when I'm waiting for these test results from the doctor. Now, I know better, and we don't believe that superstitions are true, but I have the feeling, some people have a feeling, that there might be something in them, and they better play it safe. I hate to admit that to you, but that's the way it is. There are many people whose religion is founded on a vague kind of fear of what might happen if they leave God out of their lives. But real religion is founded not on fear, but on the love of God and gratitude for what God has done. Jesus pointed, therefore, to true worship. God, he said, is spirit. If we grasp that, a new light breaks over us. God is not confined to things, and therefore idol worship is not only irrelevant, it's an insult to the very nature of God. If God is spirit, God is not confined to places. And therefore, to limit the worship of God to Jerusalem or to any other spot puts a limitation on God. If God is spirit, our gifts to God must be gifts of the Spirit. Animal sacrifices and all things of our own creating become inadequate. The only gifts that befit the nature of God are gifts of the Spirit. Love, loyalty, obedience, and devotion. The spirit is the highest part of a human being. That is the part which lasts when the physical part has vanished. It is this spirit which is the source of our highest dreams and thoughts and ideals and desires. The true worship is when each of us, through that spirit, attains friendship and intimacy with God. True worship does not consist of coming to a certain place, nor in going through a certain ritual or liturgy, or even in bringing certain gifts. True worship is when our spirit, the immortal and invisible part within us, speaks to and meets with God, himself immortal and invisible. This passage closes with a great declaration. This humble Samaritan woman has been confronted with a great many truths. No doubt she's never had a conversation like this in her lifetime. Never had so many things to think about at one time, and important things too. Here were things beyond her understanding. These things were full of wonder. All that she could say was, when the Messiah, the Christ, the anointed one of God comes, then we will know all about it. You can see her longing, her desire, her wanting in this statement, and her faith, because she believes that not only that God will send the anointed one, but that he'll be full of truth and wisdom and will enlighten her. It's a great, great declaration of faith, I think. And then Jesus said to her, I am he, the one who is speaking to you. It is as Jesus said that this is not a dream of the truth. This is the truth itself. You know, it takes me back to that great verse in the very first chapter of John. The Word had become flesh, and it was Jesus. And Jesus was sharing that with this woman at Jacob's well. Now, next week, we'll get back to the interaction between Jesus and the woman at the well. And also, his disciples will come back into the story because they've been in town buying food. And we'll see their reaction to their boss talking not only to a woman, but to a Samaritan woman. And that's where the story will pick up next week. Thanks again for watching, and God bless you all.